Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. So this week I took a little in-state trip here in Colorado. My main goal was to visit the Great Sand Dunes National Park and Preserve in the San Luis Valley, but I had no idea how many other incredible places I'd discover along the way. We stayed in a dome home near Crestone, which was such a unique experience. It had a dome-shaped bedroom, a carpeted bathroom, complete with a great view from the bath, and a small but cozy kitchen and living space. While we were wandering around the town of Crestone, we saw a sign for a bookstore, which lured us up a hill and onto someone's private property, where we found a shed full of books. The shed's floor was sandy and carpeted. My partner bought an old book for $5 cash. And then on our first evening there, we visited the Crestone Ziggurat and watched the sun dip below the valley. You could even spot the sand dunes in the distance. It was so incredibly beautiful, but also so incredibly windy and a little chilly. Crestone is also a designated dark sky town, so that night we spent some time stargazing, and honestly, it was unbelievable. Without light pollution, the sky just fills with sparkling stars in a way you usually don't get to see. The next day, on Sunday, brought cold temperatures and intense winds with sand and dust blowing everywhere. We had originally planned to check out some nearby hot springs, but the weather had other ideas. Instead, we made the drive to Pagosa Springs, where we found some free natural hot springs right along the San Juan River. The water was about 104 degrees, which felt amazing compared to the chilly 50-degree mountain air. It was such a relaxing contrast, especially in a small mountain town in early March. Nearby, there were even greenhouses heated by geothermal water, allowing food to be grown year-round, which was really cool to see. I absolutely love that. On the way back to the valley, we stopped at Treasure Falls to check out the waterfall before heading in for the night. Monday started with a visit to the UFO Watchtower, which is exactly as quirky as it sounds. A dome structure with an observation deck and a collection of little trinkets and offerings people have left behind. We even did a little swinging on the swing set they had there, which was actually really beautiful in the middle of a desert with mountain views. After that, we headed to Zapata Falls. A short 0.8-mile hike up the mountain brought us to a frozen creek. We carefully made our way along the icy path and into a narrow rock opening. And when we turned the corner, we were completely blown away. The waterfall was entirely frozen. We weren't expecting that at all, but it made the moment even more special. The ice looked like melted glass, almost sculptural. It was honestly one of the most beautiful things I have ever seen. We didn't know if the waterfall would be, well, water or frozen, so it was definitely a surprise when we got up there. From there, we made our way back down into the valley and drove south to Alamosa, where we saw the Rio Grande near its headwaters. And then we continued on to the Monte Vista National Wildlife Refuge, where we caught the Sandhill Crane migration. These birds passed through the San Luis Valley in February and March, and seeing hundreds of them gathered together and then taking off in massive flocks was absolutely unforgettable. Definitely one of the highlights of the entire trip. I've seen sandhill cranes in Florida before, where my parents live, and it was just so neat to see them gathering in such large quantities in the middle of Colorado at this time. And their calls were so nice. It was very, very windy, so a lot of my footage is wind blown, but you might be able to hear a little bit of the sandhill crane calls throughout. On the drive back to the Airbnb, we were treated to one of the most stunning sunsets I have ever seen. Then on Tuesday, we finally made it to the Great Sand Dunes National Park and Preserve. The dunes are such a natural wonder. Huge waves of sand surrounded by towering mountains. We hiked about 300 feet up, which was definitely a workout, but so worth it. The highest dune there is about 700 something feet, and yeah, we were just not prepared to do that, but I think 300 feet is pretty good. we decided to slide down some of the sand dunes barefoot and feeling the sand shift and ripple beneath our feet and roll down the dunes almost like water was a really unique experience. I haven't been to many national parks, but I think this national park was absolutely so cool and definitely worth a visit. I really recommend visiting this park if you ever get a chance. It was just so cool to see these sand dunes in the middle of a high desert surrounded by mountains. And then we ended the day by parking just outside the park to catch one last incredible sunset. I know this video is really different from my others, but this is what I did last week. I really hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed traveling around the southern portion of Colorado. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.